right, I'd like to call the December meeting of the Properties Committee to order. We have a quorum. Welcome back, Nancy. And our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the November 5th meeting. Do we have any additions or corrections? If not, they're approved. So our next order of agenda is to review our policies. FAO 9 is alcohol restrictions on association property. This one adheres to state law, so I don't, unless somebody has an addition or correction, shall we approve this one as written?
Yes, I make a motion, we approve it.
All right, do we have a second? Marshall? All right, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
FA 10, yes. That's for all facilities.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I had to follow those when I was a club president for special licenses. FA 10 is the association-approved single-event commercial sponsorship. And I don't, pretty much they follow this. Haven't heard of any changes or additions to this one. If I don't hear anything from committee members, we'll have a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. And then FA 11, authorization of expenditure of changing demographic funds for capital projects. I haven't heard of any wanting changes or additions or exclusions from this.
Roberta?
Yes.
I want to ask Bill a question. On 3.2C, do you have a problem with shall? Where is he? Okay. I know the government folks don't really care about shall because they don't follow a lot of stuff, but when this says shall, that's all it is. Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to read that from where we are.
That the clubs requesting additional space shall share in the cost. In other
They
words,
usually do.
in other words, a club that has no money, they're just out totally, no questions asked. Right?
True.
Okay. As long as you don't have a problem with that, that's fine.
I think policy-wise, our RFPs, I think that's the kind of the direction that being recommended from various other committees brought on to the governing board. Those types of things, I think, makes sense.
Okay.
Hearing no other comments, we have a motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Update on the FAO 2 and 12 and naming rights. We had our meeting yesterday. I think we're just about there, thanks to Sue Fitzsimon bringing, helping us to organize it. And I think by the next meeting, the two policies will point to these new guidelines for naming rights as well as plaques and memorials and so forth. So we're getting toward the end, and hopefully, like I said, January, this will be finalized and no longer on our agenda. Okay. So Russ, you want to go over the solar electric station project overview?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So I had asked Chris Barker for a 3D rendering to give you guys an idea. I'm sure most of you have heard about this by now a few times. as to what this is actually going to look like. The proposal is to put up a shaded solar parking space to be able to charge 24 two-seater vehicles to be utilized in the community. So being the fact that we're going to have this structure placed, if we could move forward with this, you guys need to know what that structure is going to look like. You know, we've been kind of anti-solar, especially in the front, because of the view from Johnson. By the time it gets up to our building, if we did what Sun City did, we wouldn't be able to see RH Johnson Complex. All you would see is solar panels. It's unfortunate because we have such a large platform to take advantage. It's just well, there's a lot of reasons. So we found a location that was best suited for this, to not impact all of our current usage as far as parking goes. And that wasn't easy. You remember, we've built a men's club, we built an art building, and we put pickleball courts in our already large parking space. So every time we do that, we lose parking. And what happens is that then pushes parking to other places. So I told Chris I'd look it over. Carl and I picked out locations, and the biggest dead spot in front of this library, as far as the least used, was the most convenient place for this to be. It allows people to pull up, if you're going to pull up to use these vehicles and leave a vehicle. You know, again, added parking is going to be the least impactful. I don't know what else to really say as far as seeing where this is going to go, but at least now you know when it's brought up and presented, you know what it's going to look like. And I can try to answer any questions you might have.
Would there be the charging stations there if somebody had an electric car here in Sun City West, be able to use it?
No, that's a good question. So if you have a Tesla, no, because Teslas have their own plugs. The purpose for this is to charge those vehicles. So that was another one of my fears, is because when folks see a shaded place to park, they don't care if their vehicle is electric. They want to park in the shade. That was another reason of putting it down here. Kind of keeps it secluded for its purpose. It's a pilot program that they're proposing. So we're not sure where it's going to take off. If it happens to land in our parking lot, that to me was the least evasive. So that's kind of where we stand right now.
Do we have any other questions? Jerry?
Thank you, Roberta. It may be too early in the project evaluation to answer, so if it is, just say so. Has there been any thought to what might happen if the program is discontinued? First of all, is this space going to continue to be useful for parking normally?
So based on what I know, they have to go out and get investors. Who's going to pay for this? So if it fails, it's going to depend on who owns the structure as to what they want to do with it. So we, I guess, would have the option possibly to purchase it, or they would remove it. We haven't really got in. It has been mentioned, but there's so many variables as far as who's coming in, who's gonna do what. It changes the answer every time. So, but it has been brought up.
Okay, so too early in the process
Yes.
to answer questions like that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Russ? Sharon, did you want to say something?
No, I'm okay. There's going to be a presentation at the board
Yes.
Tomorrow about the project as a whole. So this is a piece of it.
This is, and Chris Barker will be speaking to this? Yeah, so there's your perfect candidate to answer all of these questions, because we have been hitting them with several.
Yeah, the committee members might want to listen in on the board meeting workshop tomorrow, because there will be a full presentation on this project.
I have my cards with me. If anybody's interested in working on this project or wants to know more about it, I have my card, so you can contact me and I'll be glad to discuss it.
Okay, thanks. Everybody hear that? All right. So our next item on the agenda is the greenhouse proposal by the Garden Club. Who's going to be making the presentation?
I am.
Name, please.
My name's Mike Anderson, and I was appointed by the board last spring to help coordinate the process of getting a new greenhouse built. Today I have Dave Wiglin, that's going to be our new president next year. He's been voted in for 2021, and I also have our treasurer with us, Karen Anderson. Our club right now has 256 members at this point in time. And we had an overwhelming vote here recently to proceed with this that we were requested to do. So moving forward, and at that point, I've got involved with Carl, and some of the rest of this will be here to speak on. At our club now, we have a number of people that work at the greenhouse doing different things, harvesting, watering, planting, and so on. But we also have a number of people in our club that attend our educational classes that we have as when we can, moving forward. But that's, our club is really a hands-on club, so we've been very fortunate in, with what we have, but we need to expand and change some things. Okay? Uh-oh, hold on. There's, let's go on to the next one, Carl. The existing greenhouse. Our existing greenhouse is 40 years old and is beyond repair. We have right now 350 square feet, and it's very crowded, and it's really has been past repair, as you guys already have known, and moving forward. We'd like to see if we can expand it to a larger size, to able to plant more and work with more people inside. Because a lot of club members right now in our existing greenhouse, you can get 4 people, and we're almost crowded. And also with the existing greenhouse, there's just absolutely no storage and other things that we have tried to encompass with our club. So moving forward, that would definitely be something that we would be able to do with the new greenhouse. Our plans will be to use the greenhouse to expand our services for our members, and also hopefully attract new members with learning about the cactus, about the planting, about what we do to harvest, and increase our sales and be able to display our products a lot better to the community as well as others. You skipped one, I guess. Or am I missing one? Hold on. We changed the order here, so I'm trying to. So this is the overview of exactly where the new greenhouse would be and the existing greenhouse, and how we would plant and use the front space for more demonstrations of planting and exposing our inventory or our plants. And we're pretty excited about it. Also, where the existing greenhouse, it would be, the new one would be 10 feet off the wall, so we would have storage, ample storage for products, raw materials, and things like that. That would really enable us to clean up and make it look a lot more attractive for everybody, including us, and easier to work with. So we're really excited about that, because as we've worked with the manufacturer and some of the other people, and Carl, I think we've enabled us to do a lot more with the space available to us. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, this is the one I was talking about, planting, harvesting, feeding, and watering is part of what this whole endeavor would really be as we expand our facility, that we can have instructional classes to our members of our club and expand how we do stuff, also expand our sales area for some of the smaller plants as we grow them. As you know, we harvest everything, and that's kind of where I got involved with this club, because I do a lot of harvesting, and we bring them in and we use club members. We have groups on Tuesdays and Thursdays at plant, but we really think this would be an advantage for us to expand and attract new people, because people, when we talk about our club, they get there and we're kind of crowded into a little area. So we can expand that. I think will really benefit the future for us. Go ahead. This is a picture of the one over at Sun City that I was fortunate enough to go look at with Carl. And they just recently now are starting to move into it. They built one, it's bigger than what we're anticipating, but they also grow things from seed, like plants and vegetables and things like that. But what we did notice that Nexus is the company that they work with, that we've been working with. And we were very impressed with the quality of what they did, how they communicated. We met with the operations manager over there. He really felt they did a very good job for them. But again, you can see it's not what it's hooked to a building and some other things, and it'd be taller. But the essence of that is, it was very quality, and we really understood the process of how things inside work. So we were very fortunate to be able to go over there. Go ahead. There's a drawing, I didn't bring my water up, doggone it. The picture of the layout of what we have right there, where the 10-foot from the wall would be, where we would be able to spread out potable tables. Against the wall where the pool building is, we would have a workstation with sinks and things like that, and then right in front, we would have some tables. And we're gonna use the existing tables that we have for the most part, but we will be looking. We've been talking about designing something special for us that we could, thank you. You're welcome. I left it at the table. Sorry. But I think this drawing kind of, really shows the overview of what we anticipate. We'll have ADA sidewalks in it and doorways. That's something that the existing one does not have. So we should be able to meet any criteria with that involved. It also comes with, it has exhaust vents and cooling and evaporation and stuff all included in what we do against that back wall. It's kind of unique. It's like a water wall. It pulls air into moist and cool the building off. And it's got screens in the top so we can fight the sun a little bit, which is really interesting. And that's kind of what we saw over at Sun City when we saw how theirs was built. But I think this kind of gives you a picture of what it would be, but we haven't finalized some of the other little buildable things inside that we'd like to do, and we're working on that. So what's the last one? And I guess wasn't in the order that I had it. I guess I did that when Carl and I did that, but we're excited about it. We've worked very hard at trying to establish a rapport with the rec center so we can move forward and we can utilize the space, we can make it value to the rec centers as well as us, and that we can expand our club, if possible, to some new members, because we know there's a lot of new people, and we have people walking in all the time. Right now, we're doing it under a controlled environment for our sales, by appointment only, and we're doing very well with that right now. So we're anxious to be able to move forward, and I think that's really my little picture show. I hope I got through it sufficiently. Any questions?
Yes, Carl?
I'd just like to help Mike out here for a moment, just to explain a little bit more. Russ and I have been presented this conversation of repair and/or replacement over the last 2.5 years. And just for the attempts from facilities maintenance to try to fix it and maintain what we had, they've done an amazing job, but it's to the point where it can't be fixed anymore. The club existing greenhouse is 380 square feet, and what Mike is asking is for a 960 square foot greenhouse. So from the footprint that exists today, the club is requesting it to be 24 foot by 40 foot. It's a very reasonable request as far as the footprint that it takes up. And as far as the rec center's repair and replacement goes, CFO Pete Finelli and I have determined what a replacement cost for a 380 square foot greenhouse is. And that is what the rec centers would be willing to contribute to the replacement cost. Anything above that the Garden Club and I are working on, as far as getting preliminary estimates, they would be presenting a payment plan. So I just wanted you to know what the difference between repair and replacement of the existing and their expansion request to the larger size unit.
I had a question. I thought it had to be moved anyway because it was attached to a wall.
No,
Oh,
it doesn't have to be moved, and no corporation of the greenhouses were very positive in their engineering results to build a new greenhouse on our existing structure. So we have that big retaining wall, and the cost really didn't become a factor in the fact that we're providing a third wall as opposed to redoing the retaining wall, because our retaining wall most likely would have to be over-engineered or additional engineering put in, like buttresses, to ensure that the better greenhouse is supported. So it's a wash in cost, and it really provides the club an opportunity to gain a 10-foot space between that wall and the new greenhouse, whatever size it is, for storage. Clean up the space, put soil bags and their materials that are unsightly away, so.
do we have any other questions? Bob?
Yeah, take a look at the slide that says Garden Club intro, if we could go back to that. Yeah, yeah, that one right there. Look way up against the wall. It looks like that's vegetation that that belongs to the rec center. It's
That's ours.
between the sidewalk and the wall. And then we go two slides forward, right there, and it looks like that is going to be taken out and put into a garden. Is that correct?
Bob, this was an opportunity for the club to envision their space. So no cost factor has been placed on any of that change in landscaping. But if they wanted to have an attractable garden center, and if their club's activities on a daily basis wanted to clean up their space and make more of a demonstration garden, we have given them the okay to do that.
Oh, so that space now is currently their space? The ones that the
Absolutely,
bushes
yeah,
are
they
there?
use it now for, I mean, they've got hundreds upon hundreds of plants in this
Oh, okay.
area where you see like the large round circle trees.
Yeah,
We have a drainage basin which will be maintained and not given up or changed or modified. But they certainly can make their space much more attractive, which in turn, I believe, will attract more members to their club too.
okay. All right, that sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, President.
Thank you, Madam Davidson. I appreciate you allowing me. I have two questions for Carl and one for Mike. Mike, you're going to go first. You said you had a vote of your membership in the affirmative to move forward with this project. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is duly noted in the secretary minutes of your meeting.
We did it online electronically.
That would be the same thing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Carl, two questions for me. Is there any other club or anything else that would be displaced by the addition of this?
Not at all, George.
Okay, thank you. The other question I have, will Maricopa County be involved in a permit with this?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Just one, this part of the planning process, because one of the questions, whenever I hear Maricopa County permit, I understand that the club wants it yesterday, and Maricopa County don't work that way.
And over the last month
Yeah.
and a half, I've worked with, as a courtesy with one of our architects to help establish a cost above and beyond what a replacement greenhouse is, so that the club could have some form of idea of what their additional funds would be for payback, so.
Thank you, Carl, appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Roberta, I just have one comment that I'd like to make. I'm back here.
Oh, there he is. I'm like, where'd that come from?
When it comes to greenhouses and agriculture, the recent election in the state of Arizona now allows the legality of marijuana. Greenhouses are very popular when it comes to growing marijuana, and so the agricultural club and this particular club are going to be faced with that issue, as will a lot of homeowners and whatnot who want to grow their own weed can do so. Katie and I sat through an hour-and-a-half meeting yesterday with our attorney and all folks who manage facilities similar to us throughout the state of Arizona, and learned a lot more than we needed to probably on marijuana and what's coming down the road here. But we will do a workshop for the governing board, and we'll be happy to present it to this club too, because it will, I think, present its case to you. Because I think there's going to be an increase in shed requests for people in their backyard due to what the law says you can and cannot do. Number of plants per person equals 6, number of plants per household equals 12. You could have some very decorative hedges growing in your yard here pretty soon. And so it addresses a lot of things as to what can and cannot happen in HOAs or planned communities such as us, as well as what they define what a nuisance is. If people smoke on their patio, if people smoke in public areas, if people smoke in Beardsley Park during concerts, those types of things all have to be flushed out when it comes to the legality of what was voted in with Prop 207. All those rules and regulations are there, but it's going to take a little bit of time to sort through those. We will put a workshop together and inform you, but just to let you know, it's coming.
All right, do we have any other comments or questions? All right,
Thank
thank you
you
very
for
much.
allowing us to just show
Thank
our
you.
case here, so I appreciate it.
All right, we need to, as a committee, approve this to go forward so it can then go to the Chartered Clubs Committee, and then it would have to go to B&F, budget, and then it would go to the governing board. So I would like a motion to accept the proposal.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposal.
Do we have a second? Yes? So I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, so this moves forward to chartered clubs. So now we're moving to our update on capital projects. I forgot to add in there the Beardsley Pool entrance enclosure. That was in, I believe Carl said, last year's budget, and then it had been removed as one of the deferred projects. And we need to vote whether to put the project back in to the budget.
I'd like to make a motion that we put it back into the budget.
Okay, it's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposition? All right. So the next one is we had been on our tour. We talked about replacing at Palm Ridge. If you notice at the bottom where the tile of the walls hits the platform, that a lot of areas it's chipped and has other issues. We had said that we would recommend that this be replaced. And is there any questions about this to Carl or? Right? So do we have a motion to accept this?
Make a motion to accept it.
Okay, a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now at Beardsley, over in the spa area, inside the spa, I know that the walls need some improvements. I can't remember, I had it right there. Carl.
And I just need to clarify here, Roberta, that the committee, as they did the tour today, it didn't stop at the spa, that it was basically the same wainscoting that you just mentioned at Palm Ridge. So the wainscoting throughout the pool, and that's what we factored in for, and currently we have a placeholder
Okay,
of an estimated dollar amount, because it's still a little bit difficult at this short a time frame to determine what's the best material to make the improvement,
Okay,
okay?
but
So,
we would approve we need to approve to go forward with it.
yeah, all I ask is that you clarify whether, that you are saying spa and pool
Okay,
area improvement.
I make a motion that we include the pool in that improvements.
amending the original motion, second? Okay, all in favor? Okay. The pool lighting, have you had any progress with the lighting expert?
In fact, every item that you have on your list here, I do have some form of summary if you have questions, but otherwise, every one of your line items today, I have placed as a placeholder in the budget if you're ready to ask any questions. So,
Okay. Like I said, this is, anybody who's been in the Beardsley Pool knows that how much of a tomb it looks like, especially in the mornings before the sun comes up.
So we had Musco Lighting come out and walk with Russ and myself and gave us an evaluation of the area. And indirect lighting is the answer. It's the least obtrusive to our structure. We have a structure that would accept what they have as an opportunity. Now, of course, it would still go to multiple vendors for bidding, but as far as creating a scope of work, Musco is the best in the industry to at least give us our baseline.
Okay, that'd
Okay.
be good. And then we had talked about, I'm going to take Beardsley altogether. On the pool seating area, and when I asked for people's, in the committee's response to whether they wanted to go forward with putting in the new flooring back there and remove the carpet, some people agreed to remove the fountains, others liked the fountains. So I guess we have to get some discussion on that. What are we looking at costs to remove the fountains as opposed to keeping them in?
So Beardsley flooring, end of pool carpet replace is what the title would be. Remove fountain features and repair area, $44,000. So the cost would include demoing the existing structures of fountain and wall fixture. You know, there's a corner wall feature. And then putting the same rubber flooring that we've used at the Kuntz pool deck as a replacement flooring option.
And if we didn't remove the fountains?
I don't have that factor broken down, so it would just be less.
So right now, that 44,000 includes keeping the fountains.
No, that would be
Oh, removing the fountain, I'm sorry.
the extreme of removing and repairing.
Okay.
Now, does that include the fountain on the wall?
Yes, gone.
And is there another one there too?
There's the one on the ground.
There's three. Okay.
There's three bowl fountains in the floor and then one in the corner.
Okay, is the one in the corner causing any problem?
It was, and that's why it doesn't run down the wall anymore. So we put those in years ago.
Yeah, but.
And if the
but,
cost is too high, we can easily take them out. They come out just as easy as they went in.
Okay, so they're easy, it's easy to come out, it's not
Yeah,
gonna be a
we
big
could do
cost
that
factor.
in-house and eliminate that cost out of that number.
Yeah, my cost really factors in, the rest of my conversation, the facilities maintenance would do their version of demo, what they can handle. I would do the concrete repairs with the general contractor.
Because I believe all that rock and dirt where the plants are, all gets removed, concrete poured, and it gets covered with flooring. That's where the majority of that cost is coming in, not so much the cost of removing the fountains.
Okay, well, let's just keep I personally think we should just keep it in the proposal, the way the whole thing, just go with the way Carl has it figured out. Seems how
All right.
the fountains doesn't look like it's gonna be a tremendous cost factor one way or the other. It's gonna save us a lot of money. So I think we should just go with the way it's proposed and the way you have it budgeted.
I think the concrete portion was approximately 6,000 or 7,000 max.
Okay?
Do we have any other comments on this, Jerry?
Sorry, Roberta, I do have some on the fountain issue, as you can imagine. You know, there are a lot of, I understood the fountains were put in at request. We're now thinking about requesting they be taken out. I'm thinking 3 years ahead when we request to put them back in, or something to make it a little more interesting other than just a flat area. I don't know what that might end up being 3 years from now, but, you know, I'm trying to think of ahead. Are we incurring a cost now, anticipating that a future committee is going to ask us to incur another cost to make it a little more interesting then? I like the flooring and all that. I think that's partly a safety issue and aesthetics. Carl, go ahead.
So the flooring itself is in the reserve study is up for replacement, so that was fortunate in the timing. The idea of removing the fountains and the wall features is for a reimagining of the space that can be considered, you know, during some form of space utilization, whether it's master planning or whatnot. But by solving, let's just say, the fountain issue, you have a clean slate to work with. I'd like you to just take into consideration your other requests, which is lighting and the lower wall considerations for improvement. So really, we're cleaning up Beardsley, Beardsley's pool area. So it's kind of think of it as a vision of one goal. You know, you got a wall improvement, a floor improvement, and a space that is open for repurposing.
And I also like to point out, Jerry, that that back area is rarely used. It's mainly used for people putting down their pool stuff when they go into the pool instead of putting them in the lockers.
Understood. I don't go to Beardsley very much
Yeah.
because I always thought it was a tomb.
Yeah, it's not
So-
used at all,
But-
hardly at
but I-
all.
But I do like, Carl, your comment that, you know, it cleans up the space for reimagining for future use, because I don't think just as it is enough of an attraction for our members, and what it would take, I think, is still to come.
And I, you know, when I put my mind to this, you know, thinking about the lighting improvement, it's not gonna have that tomb effect anymore, otherwise what was the point of, you know, lighting improvement? And then spinning off of the nice flooring that we have around the pool, the vendor for the rubber flooring has all the options given to me in this cost to create a nice pattern there as well that complements and carries through. So it doesn't have a bland design by any means.
All right, any other questions on this one? Mr. Young?
Yeah, due to the fact that this is a large area that we've looked at for different reasons, I think space utilization is more important than spending money on something that we don't know what we're going to do with it. So I think I'd be careful with this operation. That's my point.
So Jim, we looked at that as well, because that has been looked at so many times. But like Carl stipulated, the carpet is gone, it needs to be replaced. Carpet is not the thing to be putting back in there because it doesn't last its life cycle, it never has. Now that this rubber product has come to light, we believe it's the best product to put down there. Whatever we do with that space, the dirt and rock would have to come out, so we're just getting a head start as far as that goes. And a little bit of history on those fountains, nobody had ever asked for them. The guy who was in charge of maintenance in the late 90s thought it'd be a nice thing to do, so we went in there and did it. That was his idea. I'm sure there's some that have grown to like them. I do not. They cost us money. Pumps, chemicals, leaks. So it won't break my heart to see them go away.
Any other comments? Sue?
Just for clarification, so what I hear Russ and Carl saying is that what is being proposed to be done would not be a waste of money should we decide to use that space for something else in the future, in the near future.
That's correct. I mean,
Okay.
the flooring is neutral, other than it has the rubber component, as opposed to a hard surface, meaning carpet or tile or something like that. And, but otherwise, there's nothing being built in that area that would impede coming up with some imaginative use of that space.
Okay, and that might include designing some attractive seating as the pool area, or it might be something totally different. It might be a wall or a room or something else.
Somebody brings it up.
Okay, great.
I do know that the education classes that are taught there, the learn to swim classes, because I've shadowed the guy, Bill, who teaches the learn to swim classes. There's a lot of techniques that you have to do outside of the water, and there's no place to sit somebody down on the deck for body position and all that kind of stuff. So once there's a clean slate and it's rubberized, you can sit on it, you can do stretching exercises for any of those education classes. He can work on arm movement and stuff with people there, because once he gets them in the water, it's all over. So, I mean, there are potential, but you can't do it with the fountains and the carpet. Nobody wants to sit down on the carpet. It's kind of gross. So I think it's a good shot to clean the slate and then go from there. But you can't envision it until all that other stuff is done. So.
All right, any other comments? Okay. On items 3 and 4, do I have a motion to accept them and include the removal of the fountains?
To accept items 3 and 4 and remove the fountains.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay. Now, on the dance floor, we had talked about this. After the last properties meeting, several members talked to Carl about this, and I was asked to set up a meeting to go out to not only at Beardsley, but also here at the Great Lawn. And I invited Barbara and Bob Hartley and Sherry and myself, but it was just Bob Hartley and myself meeting with Carl and Russ. No, Carl wasn't there.
Was there?
Carl was there. No memory here. And so we went out there, and Casey also was with us from events. And so evaluating out here at the Great Lawn, it slopes too much to put a dance floor in there. And Todd Patty said that also would affect the irrigation system, and we would have to dig up the whole thing and redo it. And my biggest complaint was where people dance on the sidewalk, that it blocks the stairwell and the handicap access. And during events, they will mitigate that issue. So it was determined that it was not worth the money to add an extra dance floor over at the Great Lawn because of the sloping issue. And just standing off on the edge, I could feel that I was sloping down, and wherever I stood, I was sloping down. So it is a big issue there. But we did go over to Beardsley and determined that we could add additional cement. If you look at the front of the pavilion, weren't we bringing out the dance floor so that it almost becomes a V out of it, correct?
No, on
Or was
the
it-
front of the dance floor where you have the long straight area, I believe we came out 10 feet.
10 feet
We
by
come out
30.
10 feet and 30 feet, so we got like about 300 square foot more on a thing, and so that's going to be the main thing, and it's just going to be kind of like a rectangle type. So it will add quite a bit of dance floor, and it's going to add it right in front of the stage. So it's going to be flat, so we're not going to have any issues with that.
And then in back near Ramada 7, where we had the temporary ones at one of the concerts, they're gonna put in a permanent area, and that's also gonna be used for something I had never heard of before, cornhole tournaments.
Yeah, we roughly, I think it's going to be left up to the people there, because they mentioned that they might want to, we're going to try to make it a multi-use, so that there's whatever the rec center feels is best. They looked at cornhole, and then they talked about moving that back in outside the pool and the patio area. But in other words, have a dance floor for dancing, and then we might have to increase it a little bit so it could be a multi-use So we're really looking at a multi-use concrete slab there that we could also use for dancing.
24 by 24.
Okay. We've got it settled then.
Carl, what are your thoughts about concrete versus a different type of surface that is more forgiving if someone falls?
You're already dancing on concrete currently everywhere when you have these events. So, I mean, and it's a lawn, so it has to have a solid surface. I really don't know how to answer that any other way.
I was thinking, for example, the area around Kunz Pool, we have a surface that is more forgiving. I assume it's on top of concrete.
Yeah,
And I was thinking of that.
I'll tell you that rubberized decking has the highest slip coefficient, so it's actually a negative in the idea of dancing. You would have no slip, no turn, no shuffle. So I think concrete is just as good as this dance floor that we're sitting here in this room. The difference here is this has a flex to it, and it's better for dancing because of people's knees and usage. But I think plenty of people dance on concrete.
Yeah, when they put in the temporary floor, it was kind of like a plastic rubberish type thing, and it was very slick. And so a lot of people didn't dance on it because it was slick. I dance a lot. I'd prefer concrete anytime because it's so much better. Plus, it's probably the best for multi-use is what we're looking for.
Do we have any other discussion? If not, I'll call for a motion to accept.
I make a motion that we accept it.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So at Kuntz, it was all over the place on whether to redo the, mostly it was negative to take out the trees and redo the courtyard at this time. So, unless somebody's going to push it, we won't accept this one.
I agree that we should not accept it.
Okay. I don't think we need a vote on that.
And if anybody has a question, they can come to me and see what it takes to put sails up, and you'll immediately say that we should do exactly what we're doing, because it takes a lot more than what I thought. This is roughly what it takes for sails, and has to be 8 posts with big concrete supports.
And I actually did do that homework as well, and Bob is not wrong. It does require at least 8 supports. Just the shade sail structure and canopies came to $75,000, and that's not including any corrections or alterations to landscaping or finished product in that courtyard. So just to give you that information.
All right, moving on to the Johnson Center. As part of our tour, we talk about removing the carpet that's in the women's locker room. Yes, Carl?
So that project is currently in this year's fiscal budget that's
Okay.
approved. So you don't have to recommend that. I will be taking care of that in
Right.
this year's budget.
All right, and the dance floor we've already discussed. And the social hall, that'll be part of the normal lighting, would you say 2 years?
23-24 budget.
Okay. And the last item at the Johnson Library, I believe, Russ, you said you were going to take care of that?
It's actually me and Tracy Skousen, the librarian. We'll just hire the grout specialist to come in and redo the grout. Yes.
So do we have any other issues on our recommendations for the budget? Carl, you want to do your update, please?
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to say that the R.H. Johnson Large Dog Park renovation is completed and opened this past Monday. And just making sure that our members are happy and satisfied and that they understood how the new operations of the park exist. I spent a few days, a couple minutes each day out there observing and talking to folks, and the response is overwhelming. They're very happy, and it just turned out beautifully. So regardless if you have a dog or not, I really encourage you to just take a nice stroll through the large dog park. You'll be pleasantly impressed at the beautiful park that it is. So my last item is the Kuntz master projects. In the entirety, they are 100% complete. They have been for a while. We were just really having poor discussions with county on getting as-bills finalized, which are a requirement prior to getting a certificate of occupancy. And we have gotten through all those negotiations. Everything's passed. And last Wednesday, I did receive certificate of occupancy, have it in hand, and we are opening Kuntz on Monday. Thank you. That is all I have for project updates.
Russ?
So at RH Johnson, we're in the process of replacing 11 HVAC units from the lecture hall up to membership. If any of you were around the other day, you saw 2 cranes up. They've all been set, and they're just doing the finishing touches on the last few now. We repaired the flooring in the exercise room at Johnson. That was per the properties walkthrough. In doing so, we discovered excessive moisture underneath the rubber. So we're looking into replacing the entire floor and as it's at the end of its life. We painted the metal entry gate at tennis per the properties walkthrough. We repainted all the speed bumps, excuse me, throughout the Johnson complex. I know you can't tell as they're black already, but they got that done in a week and a half's time, and they look really nice for a while. Todd Patty is looking into what he can do with those large concrete planters in front of the pool. That was also on properties walkthrough list. Craft Village countertop replacement has been added to next year's budget package, and that was also on their list. We replaced the 2 cracked toilets. It was pointed out here in the social hall, the women's restroom. Over at Kuntz, as it reopens on Monday, Kuntz in Beardsley will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days a week, and Johnson and Palm Ridge will remain at their current hours of 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Massage will also be available at Kuntz on Monday. They will be located in the tennis control building where Frank used to have his office there. We replaced the ceiling tiles, the stained ones in the wood shop. That was also on properties list. Beardsley play area, Carl had the company come out, do the repairs and the new seal coat on the play surface out in the park. So that has been done. That was also on their list. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Carl or Russ?
Yeah, I have a question. Do we have any more club requests that are coming up in the near future that was submitted by the the deadline?
I would say that the only thing that I'm absolutely aware that's in discussion with the general manager and staff is pickleball, but I do not believe that they have set any time with us or with anybody else as far as when they might present, if they're even going to at this point, so I'm not sure. Otherwise, no other club requests have been asked, and per the CFO's timeline on requests, he has my official budget, other than what we do over the next few months in further investigation about pricing and tweaking things, but the list is complete based off of what I kind of anticipated you would say today, and nothing has changed, so that's that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sue?
This didn't come from a club, but from another committee, the potential revamping of the shuffleboard room. And that has not come to this committee yet, but has been submitted. But that's not through a club.
Karen handed me a note on the greenhouse project. It will be discussed at the governing board workshop tomorrow, but it still has to go to chartered clubs. And I believe Mr. Anderson will be the one presenting tomorrow.
Roberta, that's not accurate unless you've been given,
She just handed me a note.
nobody from the Garden Club will be attending the workshop tomorrow.
Well, I know, that's what I was sort of perplexed when she,
I think that's an error, sorry.
all right, I'll check with her again. Like I said, she just handed this to me.
Yeah, tomorrow is your, I believe your recommendations of what we reviewed today, plus your recommendation to move the greenhouse forward. The next step would be the greenhouse needs to present to chartered clubs, BNF, and then I would present to the governing board if there were questions.
Okay. All right, do we have any member comments? George, do we have any guest comments?
I can politely say none, thank you.
None. All right, yes, Jim?
I asked a question, but I didn't get recognized. Back to the picture of the pilot program that we're talking about, the parking in front of R.H. Johnson. Just a question, with the expansion of the Kuntz parking lot, if you drove in the back entrance, going to the wood shop, right on the left, wouldn't that be a better spot back in that area? It doesn't seem like it ever gets used unless you have a full performance. And then now with the other 54, I'm just wondering if this is the best spot for it.
So, Jim, through our studies,
I can't hear you.
we knew that we were lacking parking at Kuntz. So much so, we added to that project an increase of 54 spaces, if I'm correct, Carl?
That is correct.
So why would we want to give up 24 of those to this project?
Because they're not being used.
We're in COVID right now. We're mostly shut down. Take that away, we go back to needing those spaces.
Okay, it's
We-
just a question.
No, I know. I just want you to know that Carl and I dove into this, strategically looked at everything and where it would be the least impactful, and that's why we ended up there.
Well, if talking about the COVID, right now, the bowling alley doesn't use it, but when the bowling alley was open, you used all of those spaces up towards the building.
They don't,
You're taking a lot of them away.
bowling never uses down more than half that lot from the building to Johnson Boulevard. They don't go more than halfway down.
Yeah, they go halfway down, and you're using it.
Nope, that
Oh, I
rendering,
can't tell where it ends.
well, there's 24 spots.
Okay,
From the bottom back up to the top, it doesn't even bring you to midpoint.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, are there any other comments? If not, I'll adjourn the meeting. Oh,
Two questions for the committee or for Russ or Carl. Have we ever considered misters at Kuntz? If we can't create more shade, is that a possibility in the main courtyard?
I am not pro-mister. All the misters we have was either put in by clubs, maintained by clubs, and/or pro shops use them on their patios. Again, they use an outside vendor to take care of those. We don't touch them. So I wouldn't promote them unless something superseded and we absolutely had to have them. But
Okay.
I'm not a fan.
All right, thank you. And then the second question is, when you were looking at a dance floor at the Great Lawn, could it be considered that maybe a dance floor is on the other side of the sidewalk over toward the bocce ball courts? rather than being in the front. Is that a flat area, or is that the same thing with the irrigation
No,
bubble?
it's decomposed granite. I mean, you could dance there. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's flat. It's all decomposed, nice and flat and hard. And that, it was very similar to remember the old sidewalk, the decomposed granite sidewalk that
Yes,
nobody liked?
yes.
Very similar.
So if
The
those
tiny little
tables were
stones.
moved in a different direction or out of that space, there could be a dance floor area, and people could begin to dance there, and that would get them away from the area that Roberta is concerned about?
Yep.
And also based on the people that attended that meeting, they pointed out where they danced in front of the stage, to the side of the stage. And so that area was brought up, you know, is that an area of consideration? And it gained no traction that day, so that's why we moved forward.
Well, I think that sometimes you have to start a pattern. I don't have a problem with dancing away from the front of the stage, especially if the stage isn't tall enough for other people to see over the top of you. So, well, maybe I'll try that next time we have a dance.
All right, any other comments? We are adjourned.